You know, I moved out to rural Oregon, 80 acres of quiet farmland, just to get away from the chaos of corporate life, the kind of burnout that builds over 25 years in logistics, and somehow I still ended up dealing with my new, incredibly entitled neighbor, Bethany Hayes. This story, the one where her $65,000 imported SUV ended up stranded on 4 completely shredded tires right in the middle of my prized pumpkin patch, isn't just about property lines, it's about the kind of boundaries people think they can ignore when they believe their status matters more than your rights. My name is Owen Miller, I'm 45, a first-generation farmer, and my land, the old Red Creek Farm, sits just outside the reach of the Pines, a gated community full of oversized houses and people paying $700 a month just to be told what color their mailbox should be. Bethany, the HOA treasurer, lived in the biggest house there, running things like she was royalty, like Queen Elizabeth II, and her husband, the HOA president, played along like a loyal Prince Philip. For 6 months straight, she treated my land, clearly fenced and clearly marked private property, like her personal shortcut to the highway. Twice a day, every day, her deep blue Range Rover would cut straight across my eastern field, crushing rows of winter squash and spraying mud all over my heritage tomatoes. The 4th time it happened in a single week, I stood there watching the tire tracks carve scars into soil I'd spent years building, and I knew it wasn't going to stop on its own. I tried handling it the right way, the decent way. I blocked her path with my old Ford F-250 and calmly explained that she was on private property, no through access. She rolled down her window, adjusted her expensive glasses, and gave me that cold, dismissive smile before saying there was an easement from the 70s, claiming it was all in county records and that I just didn't understand because I was new. Then she laughed, actually laughed, drove around me, and disappeared in a cloud of dust like the rules didn't apply to her. I called my property lawyer, Ben, right away, and 2 days later he confirmed what I already suspected. My title was completely clean, no easements, no access rights, nothing. She was trespassing, plain and simple. So I sent her a certified cease and desist letter, full legal wording, outlining damages and warning of court action, and she signed for it. 3 days later, while I was out on the tractor, I saw her coming again. She stopped, opened the letter, glanced at it, then tore it up and tossed it into my field before driving straight through like it meant nothing. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about convenience anymore, it was about control. I called the local sheriff. Deputy Reed showed up, good guy, but he said unless he caught her actively refusing to leave, it was still a civil matter and I'd have to take her to court, spend months and thousands fighting her HOA lawyers. I wasn't willing to do that. Instead, I installed a heavy-duty steel gate and secured it with a thick chain. The next morning, I heard metal grinding, ran outside, and saw her cutting through my chain with bolt cutters like she'd done it before, then casually driving through again. I caught everything on a trail camera, and even Reed admitted it was criminal damage, but still pushed for legal action. Then things crossed a line I couldn't ignore. I had a small herd of alpacas, 3 females expecting, and they're sensitive animals. Bethany started driving faster, honking, deliberately tearing through the muddiest parts. One day she sped through, the noise and sudden movement spooked my best female, Willow. She panicked, fell, and miscarried her twins. The vet confirmed it was stress, just like that, $4,000 lost and a bloodline gone, all because she wanted to save a minute on her drive. That was enough. I gathered everything, vet reports, footage, records, and decided I needed a solution that worked immediately and legally. After discussing it with Ben, I installed clearly marked warning signs every 50 feet, bright red, impossible to miss, stating private property and tire-damaging deterrents in use. Then I deployed retractable spike strips, designed only to deflate tires safely. I documented everything, photographed the signs, sent her a final certified notice explaining exactly what was in place. Her lawyer responded with threats, but it didn't matter. Deputy Reed reviewed everything and admitted I had given full warning. So I set the system. Monday morning, right on schedule, her Range Rover came through again, ignoring every sign, every warning, driving like nothing applied to her. The moment she hit the first strip, I heard the pops, saw the tires deflate, but she kept going, then the rear tires hit, more pops, still going, until she rolled into the next set and finally came to a grinding stop deep in my pumpkin patch, all 4 tires destroyed. She stepped out, saw the damage, and lost it completely, screaming, calling me every name she could think of. I calmly called the sheriff and reported an active trespasser who had ignored posted warnings and damaged her own vehicle. When I approached, I explained everything clearly: 6 months of trespassing, ignored warnings, property damage, the loss of my alpaca. She tried to play the victim, even claimed I tried to harm her, but when Deputy Reed arrived and reviewed the evidence, he didn't hesitate. He cited her for criminal trespass and asked if I wanted to press charges. I said yes. 2 weeks later, her lawyer demanded $42,000 for the vehicle damage, and Ben responded with a counterclaim of $120,000 for my losses. Then everything unraveled for her. An internal HOA audit revealed she'd been embezzling funds for years, using them for personal expenses and legal fights, and the supposed easement was completely fabricated. Criminal charges followed, her husband resigned and filed for divorce, and by the time court came around, she pled guilty to trespassing, paid restitution, and was legally barred from coming near my property. I used that money to build a reinforced fence along the boundary, and I've never needed the spikes again. In the end, accountability showed up, just like it always does, but only because I stayed patient, documented everything, and let her actions catch up to her while I stood firmly within the law. So what do you think? Was I justified in how I handled it, or did I take things too far?